So my name is Amy Long, and I've been attending Fellowship Missionary for 12 or 13 years, I think. Two siblings, older brother and older sister. We all were raised by my mom. We all have different dads. I was baptized as a baby in the hospital. Both of my parents were raised Lutheran. They both believed in God, but they weren't followers of God. I definitely was not a follower of God as a child. I was in middle school when I realized my mom was an alcoholic, and it was very different for me because I pictured an alcoholic as somebody who was mean or loud or abusive, and that was not my mom at all. My mom was what they called a very functioning alcoholic. She drank every day. But the way I found out about that is she was forgetting everything that I would tell her. My dad was not in my life a lot. He was a workaholic and an alcoholic, so I didn't spend a lot of time with him. Most of my time was with my mom. I dated the same guy off and on in high school. It was a very toxic relationship. I actually got pregnant just before I started my high school year, and I had a miscarriage at 11 weeks. In my early 20s, I had a friend ask me if I wanted to do a Bible study with her on a weight loss. Obviously, I didn't have ill feelings towards God. I thought it was kind of odd to do a Bible study and weight loss, but I was like, sure, I want to lose weight, let's do this. She was a great friend, so I wanted to do it. That is where I came to know Christ. A great friend of mine, Lori, led me to the Lord. And it was funny, as I was trying to prepare for this, I even found in my Bible the little napkin that she wrote the verses and what that all meant. And that was in April of 2000. So I should say, after I accepted Jesus in my heart, I felt a lot of conviction and wasn't really sure what all that was about. I wrote Lori a letter and I told her, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. This is too hard. And she told me much later that she laughed when she read that because she knew that was God working, the Holy Spirit working in me. The next year I was baptized at Black Hawk. It was something very cool. My entire family attended that. My mom and dad both came. It was when I truly wanted to proclaim to everybody who I love that I did want to follow Jesus, knowing that none of them followed Jesus. So that was something that I was worried about, but it was exciting at the same time. In my later 20s, I ended the toxic relationship that I was in. I was attending Pathway with a friend, visiting, and learned about Celebrate Recovery. It's a program for people with past hurts, hangups, and habits, and I don't know anybody who doesn't have that. So it was perfect for me. I met a wonderful lady, Alberta McConnell, in that group. She became my sponsor and was a great mentor to me also. At that time, that's when I started actually attending fellowship and going regularly as a single person. In my middle 30s, I strayed away from God. I was going to the bars almost every weekend. That's where I met my daughter's dad. I had been single for over 5 years. I was very lonely and vulnerable. Things went very quickly for us. We met in November of 2010, and I found out in March of 2011, that I was pregnant. There were a lot of red flags with that relationship, and I chose to ignore them. I felt like I was going to be judged, and it was the complete opposite. I was loved and accepted and shown great love by some very good Christian people. I've dealt with a lot of bitterness and pain towards my daughter's dad over the years. I went to a discipleship walk almost 3 years ago. I totally forgave her dad for everything he had done to her and me in a very intense way, but very good. I can't pretend like it's all better and everything's roses and whatnot, because it's not. But it's very different when I know that I have forgiven him, God has forgiven me. I lost my mom in 2016. In 2015, she was in the hospital not doing very well. And it was the first time that I ever prayed with my mom. And it was a very precious time. So I feel very confident my mom went to heaven. My daughter, Savea, was born in November of 2011. And she truly was the best blessing that's ever happened to me. Having Savea put me and my life completely back on track. She's definitely a blessing. Pastor Joe dedicated her in September of 2012, and she went to preschool at Black Hawk Christian. I knew that I wanted her to be able to go to school there. I knew I could not be the only one pouring Jesus into her. And one of my favorite verses that I live by through all of this walk of life for me is Jeremiah 29:11, when God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." I live by this verse, and I believe it. I believe truly that God was teaching me that He's got me. It's just a blessing knowing that God has been in my court through all of this and will continue to be in my court through all of this. And I'm just grateful and thankful for all of that.